Today we are continuing our conversation about manipulation in intimate relationships. Dr. Eileen is joining us now from the Center for Sexual Health, sharing ways to protect your emotional and physical health from manipulation.
Good morning.
Before we get underway, appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
Give us kind of a general definition of what manipulation really is in these relationships.
Manipulation is a method that people use to gain power and control, and those are really the two key issues. And again, I'm not talking about the normal mistakes we all make in relationships. I'm talking about people who intentionally will throw you off balance in order to gain power and control over you for their own benefit, regardless of the consequences or the pain they're causing to the other person.
So before we even go down that path and find ourselves in those situations, what are some things that people can do to stop it in its tracks from happening?
That's what I want to talk about today. The very first one is most of us, we want to kind of ignore it. They want to pretend that it's not real, or we minimize it.
Or justify it even.
Right. We just say, oh, it's okay. It's no big deal. So the first step really is recognizing when this is happening in a repeated pattern, you're starting to suffer the emotional and physical consequences, to recognize that you are, in fact, in an emotionally manipulative relationship. The way I want you to find that is to, I always say, trust your gut. And I really mean this. Trust your gut. Listen to your very visceral responses. If you're in a relationship and you notice that you're feeling angry, sad, lonely, confused, tired, resentful, or that you're constantly replaying the situation over and over, what did I do? What did I do? How could I have done this differently? Over and over and over. That you're feeling confused, that it's not making sense, that you don't feel safe, that you don't have trust. These are big red flags that you might be in an emotionally manipulative relationship.
And you have to stay yourself centered in all of this.
Yeah, centeredness is really important. And by centered, I mean knowing who you are, not with the chaos around you, but who you are as a person. If you haven't done this already, sit down and start working on some paper. Who am I? How do I believe in myself? What are my standards in my life? What are the things that I think are true about me? Because the better you know yourself, the less likely it is that someone's going to be able to manipulate you to throw you off balance and to forget who you are.
And you talk about something called the gray rock. What is that?
The gray rock is something that's that means that you're going to not be a drama participant, and this is really a very key point, important technique to use, because the way that these people, particularly people that have personality disorders, you look at narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial, master manipulators, and their goal is going to be again to throw you off balance so that you are vulnerable to their power and control. So if you don't participate in the games they're playing, then it's not going to work. So for example, they might push you using these manipulative gaslighting, bulldozing, all the things we've talked about, making assumptions, all the kinds of techniques we've talked about over the last few weeks. They'll do that until you lose it. So you lose, you get mad, you yell, you scream, you swear, you do things you normally wouldn't do, and then they say, you're the problem. Look what you just did. It's you. And then all of a sudden you're thrown off and they've gained control because now you feel like you're the problem. So if you don't play the game, if you're not a drama participant, and I want you to memorize this one, do not be a drama participant. If you don't play, it won't work.
Don't play into
So what the gray rock does, we call it gray rock technique. A gray rock sits in the water, right? And the river flows right on over it and goes about its way. And you sit there perfectly strong and steady as always. You don't take the hook. You sit there being a gray rock and then watch the water flow. And the manipulation will not work.
Yep, keep it in the back of your mind. And you know, a lot of these things are centered around things that you can do yourself, but it's also important to have that support network outside of yourself.
Yes, your support network is very important, and that's a way that you can also prevent this. You can't do this. Some of these people, men and women, are really good at it. And if you get thrown off and you start noticing you're feeling insecure, you lose your sense of self, look for support systems. This can be people who, you know, when you're in the circus, you look in the circus mirror and your face is all distorted. If you see that long enough and in your partner, you start to believe it and you start seeing yourself that way. So if you go talk to outside people, friends, relatives, you know, therapists are really good. That's part of what we do. We help you see an accurate mirror of yourself, so that you look in the mirror and you see who you are, which is why the staying centered is important. Who am I? And remembering that, not looking in that circus mirror, then you'll keep your sense of self, because the most dangerous part about manipulation is that you lose your sense of self-esteem, your self-worth, your value, and sometimes people even say they don't even know who they are anymore. They lose their own voice completely. And so keep your social network to keep that.
Just real quickly on that last point, what do people do, or what can they do quickly once they get to that point?
When they start feeling that badly,
get
some help. And like I said, obviously friends, family, relatives, people who have good mirrors, but I would say in all modesty, go to therapy. That's what we do. We help you regain your sense of self, regain your identity, your self-esteem, your self-worth, see who you are, what you really look like in the world, not the way this manipulator is trying to pull you off target.
We all need therapy in some form. Thank
We
you so
do.
much. And you can reach out to Dr. Eileen Pallas by visiting her website, draileenpallas.com, for more information. We're going to head it off to traffic now.